What's up, Limitless Gang? How y'all doing today? February 7th, Saturday. Um, Today I want to talk about the importance of being both gentle and dangerous. More specifically, to those who are under God and what it means to be God's strongest soldier. A lot of people want to shy away from that responsibility and all that it comes with. It's not easy, so I get it, but there is weakness in shying away from that. But the reason I think it's important to be both gentle and dangerous. I heard a saying once. It's important to be, well, it wasn't like this, but I'm saying this is important. It's an important quality to have, but the quote in the saying is the warrior, um, how does it go? Um, it's called, the warrior in the garden, right? And so, like, if you resonate with being God's strongest soldier, a part of that comes with being attacked from all angles. Even in like the other video I posted, like Superman being feared by the heroes and the villains. We're gonna use King David in the Bible, for example, and how King David was loved by many, but when they saw his potential and what he was gonna be, not they, but King Saul specifically, people saw him as a threat as well, as they saw him as something mighty and warrior like. King David was a man who was destined to be king, not just for any reason, but because God saw something in him that God just saw something in him that he loved about David. And when King Saul was aware that he had God's might within him, I guess you could say, during his time of kingship, he was very threatened by that, right? And so he tried numerous times and numerous attempts to kill David because I guess, a piece of him could see David's destiny and he felt threatened that David would become the king and he would no longer be the king. But the simple fact of him feeling threatened by that fact was the reason why David was supposed to be the king, right? Because the thing about a lot of people don't realize, like, the responsibility that being king comes with. No good comes from being king and ruling heinously and being a tyrant, right? You get oftentimes, like, there's a lot of things that I don't respect in this world, but I respect God. And God is he's a God of mercy, but he also is a God of wrath. And when you think about it, I don't know if you're familiar with the book of Samuel where it talks about David. David was a man of mercy, but he also was nothing to be played with, right? And so even when he knew King Saul was trying to kill him, on numerous attempts, like, one of his good friends was Jonathan, which was King Saul's son. Numerous attempts of King Saul trying to kill him. If you read that chapter, you'll notice that after all the times that King Saul tried to murder him, David never tried to come back with the same murderous intent towards King Saul, like how King Saul was trying to come after him. However, David was a dangerous man. He was a good man, but he was a dangerous man. And there it said how even when they went to war, King Saul was when they went to battle, King Saul was responsible for thousands of men being killed, and David was responsible of 10,000s of men being killed. I don't know if that's a word, but you know what I mean. But the importance of being gentle and dangerous is, I say that because one, that's how God is Himself, but that's that was the difference between King David and King Saul. That gentle spirit that King David had, even though he was a much more dangerous weapon than King Saul was, and there's proof of that in how when Goliath, when it came time for somebody to take down Goliath, they didn't want to go to war basically, so they just had two men from each side go to war. And Goliath was so big and so dangerous, and people were so fearful of him that nobody even thought that David would win. But God put his spirit in David, and David came out on top, and he killed Goliath swiftly, right? That being said, like one could even say that they one could even say that King Saul even chose David to test his might in a way, but me personally, I feel like there was hopes of him. I feel like me personally, there was King Saul had hopes of David losing because of the destiny he saw with him. Like I feel like a lot of times people would rather, I guess, the best option lose than to lose their position when in reality their whole position is being threatened in the first place because God sees our hearts and He sees our intentions, and that was the reason why King Saul had the spirit of God removed from him. And I forget what spirit God put over him, but anyway, in his life, right, when you're God's